It's 1995, and we're in northern Iraq, also known as Kurdistan. I hear for the first and not the last time about the plan of us leaving for Europe, my family. Being only 6 years old, I don't fully understand what and where Europe is, but all I know is that it sounds like a place where demigods live and in some kind of fantasy world. But the way my parents speak about the idea of going there, it doesn't sound too joyful. In fact, any time I mention it, they tense up and tell me not to think about it. It's become a forbidden topic, almost like a curse word. A year later, the plan becomes a reality. It's the evening before we go. And all my uncles, aunties, neighbors, closest friend have all gathered in our house to say their goodbyes. The house is full, filled with both tears and laughter. I'm crying too. It's the last night and I don't want to leave, but I don't have a choice in the matter. They just keep telling me to, be okay with it because we're going to better our lives. We are leaving the war, but also our home and family. Then I notice all the women have gathered in the living room, sitting in a circle around our red Kurdish carpet. I'm sitting beside my mum as they drink coffee and talk over each other. Everyone is eager to talk about their feelings and share the memories we've shared. Then, it's time for the reading. Everyone turns their cups, empty cups, upside down and wait for the coffee grounds to dry, to create these patterns from the inside like a work of art. Afterwards, they pass their cups to my grandma, one by one, and she reads them. My grandma, she's a natural fortune teller. All the people all over the town come to visit her just to get their reading. And now, it's my mum's turn. But before I carry on with the reading, I want participation from you all, the audience. Don't worry. You don't have to come on stage. No spotlights on you. I can see some of you a bit nervous, like, oh my God, I didn't sign up for this. You're going to play the role of the women, the men included. Anyone can be involved. It doesn't matter who. Okay? I will say something like, let's do one practice, okay? I'll say something like, and all the women started tutting. Nice! This is amazing because I couldn't afford a full cast, so this is great. A round of applause for everyone here, come on. In fact, the bar agreed that everyone gets a free drink for doing this. Nah, I'm joking. Anyway, as my grandma picks up the cup, squints her eyes to focus on the patterns, she reads, there are 5 birds, all different sizes, but they all fly in the same direction. They do not have an easy flight as they fly through a storm, and this is when all the women started tutting and clapping their hands. She turns the coffee cup very slowly and reads on and says, then you see many black stones, and they're all identical to one another. And they lead you off path, and then they tut even louder. My grandma pauses and looks concerned. The women, being impatient, they urge her on by saying, there, all together, there. No, we need theatrics in here, please. There. So my grandma explains that she sees a square in the pattern. I look at my mom, she looks confused. She asks, what does the square mean? But my grandma hesitates to answer, and the women once again urge her on, there. Finally, my grandma says that the square means 4 walls with no windows, and that's when the room goes silent. But, my grandma adds, and that's when the women spring back to life with hope and say, There's a man, my grandma continues. He comes to you and saves you. You did not know this man, but he helps you find your way to the west. And that's the only thing I remember, or the last thing I remember from that night. It's the next day. We're on our way. I'm with my mum, my dad, my younger brother, baby sister, and we finally arrived in Turkey. Our next stop is Istanbul. It's nighttime. We're on this shabby bus. And we only take short breaks, but the bus driver uses these opportunities to wash his face with cold water, not because it's dirty, but because he needs to keep himself awake. In fact, sometimes we feel the bus jerk as he wakes up to keep the bus on the road. Our lives depend on this one sleepy man. But he reassures us. He says, hey, relax, Habibi, please, relax. I do this journey every day, and I've only crashed twice. I'm like, oh my God, that's good to hear, thank you. I feel so much better about that. Thank you very much, I think to myself. Anyway, we have finally, and miraculously I must add, have arrived in Istanbul. And it's the peak of winter, and it is brutal. We're getting off the bus, and we see we're faced by a group of men in uniforms carrying guns. They take us quickly to the police station. Inside, we're surrounded by more men in uniforms. There, they take us to a desk where another uniformed man waits for us. And I hate the way they look at us, the way they stare, that deadly stare. But I don't say anything, of course. Even at this young age, I know it's safer that way. They take our bag, our papers, they examine us one by one, add the papers at us, 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 add the papers. Not a single word was exchanged between any of us. I look at my dad for reassurance. I've never seen him afraid before. He's silent, gaze fixed ahead. He looks composed, he looks confident, but he has that flickering of fear and concern in them. And then all of a sudden, one of the men stands up and shouts something in a language I don't understand. It's an alien language. The atmosphere has changed. From complete silence to now pointing, shouting, shoving, pushing. One of the men shoves my dad towards a blue metal cage door. As we move to this door that leads to a stairway, I hear my mum crying quietly, muttering prayers under her breath as she grips us tightly. And these stairs, they feel like they just keep going down and down and down and down and down and down until we finally reach the underground. And that's when they separate us. The men from the women. There are two cells, both with windows. Actually, not really windows, but more like metal thin cage openings. Bright blue and rusty with age. And as we walk into our cell, my mum's hand never leaves my shoulder. The other hand holding my baby sister. My younger brother clings onto her side. My mum is holding me tightly, so tightly that it's beginning to hurt. Fear has overtaken her. She's lost track of everything except holding on to us. It's a strange feeling because I'm so used to her gentle touch. Now I feel the strength, her strength, the strength of her love. Strangely, it's comforting. The cell, the room itself is cold. The gray walls are worn out. The patches of removed paint reveal the stone wall. The mixed smell of metal is so intense, I have a metallic taste in my mouth. And in the corner of the room sits on the concrete floor a woman and her son. We sit on the opposite side in silence. After some time passes, her son approaches me. He has a toy truck in his hand, And he gives it to me and he says, "Here, you play with it." And that's when I find out he speaks the same language as me. When my mum realizes this, I can see her face softens. Finally, we have some home with us. It's followed us here. But that's when we learn that this woman and her son have been in the cell for over a year. And that's when I hear my mum once again mutter prayers under her breath. I guess she's praying that this doesn't happen to us too. So I turn to her and I say, "Europe, Europe, Europe, are you happy now?" She looks at me, teary-eyed, can't help but break into a smile and laughs out loud. It's been so long since I've seen her laugh, I almost don't recognize her. And then a guard walks in with a white plastic bag with food in it. He places it on the metal table and just stares at us, that deadly look that they have, and says nothing. Neither do we. Of course we're hungry, but we just stare at the bag and we can't look him in the eyes. Of course we can't do that. And then finally he shouts something. He points at the bag and points at us and he does the universal gesture for hand, the hand gesture for money. My mum doesn't have any, so she goes, "No money. I'm sorry, no money, no money, no money, sorry, no money." He just stares, says nothing, looks at the bag, picks it up and walks out without saying anything. I don't know how many days have passed now, but my poor mum keeps hearing the same questions. "Uda, when are we going to leave?" Or the same demands. "I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back home." But she keeps coming up with the positive answers and the imagery of what is to come. How good our lives be when we get out to the West. But she knows. It's obvious. The regret in her face is undeniable, but she keeps it up. She keeps it up because she knows it's too late for us. So she keeps saying positive things like, "We are going to leave. We are going to get out. We are going to find a new home. You are going to find new friends. And we are going to be happy." These points sound more like demands rather than hope. And it's something that we cannot fail. How can we? I mean, after all, we did leave our dear family and home. Happiness and gratefulness are a demand. We can't fail that, right? Anyway, the cell has been relatively calm, somewhat. That's when things change, when this young lady, no older than 30, she comes in, she's tall, blonde, blue-eyed. I've never seen anyone like her before. As soon as she enters, she lights up a cigarette. From there, one after the other. I'm mesmerized. I can't stop staring. My mom's like nudging me to stop gazing at her, but I can't. No use. Like a fly to light, I'm hypnotized. But the smoke becomes unbearable. With there not being any windows, we're struggling to breathe. It's so thick, the cloud, that when you move your fingers through the air, you see the trail of wind left behind in the smoke. And then she starts muttering things to herself, or to us. I don't know, it doesn't matter anyway, because she's speaking another alien language. And all of a sudden, she does this strange thing when she lies down on that metal table, staring at the ceiling, still with a cigarette in her mouth, and starts to sing. And I think to myself, our table for food has turned into her stage. We've lost the little civility that we've had. So I turn to my mum and say, "Is this Europe?" She looks at me silently. She doesn't have an answer this time. I don't know, weeks have passed, it's hard to tell, right? But no sign of us leaving. Instead, this blonde lady has come into our lives and left like she was never here, and still nothing. But then one day, we hear footsteps. Unlike the thumps of the soldiers that come in and out, these are lighter. They're different. And there he is, staring at us, waving and smiling. It's the short, bulky man. He's come to save us, finally, like my grandma just predicted. Yeah, we got saved, but what about the mum and son, my new friend? I only wish they would get the reading too, so I know what would happen to them. One can only hope, right? Thank you.